Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. It's another beautiful day. It's day, 5 now of the baseball season. And, of course, we dealt yesterday with the bad news about the Marlins and the Philly game. And it looks like today the Phillies and Yankees, at least as far as we know now, they're scheduled to play tonight. And Marlins still not playing. The hope is that they will be playing tomorrow. The big hope is that we get this thing under control and it doesn't affect other players and other teams. The Marlins hit hard yesterday. So I tell you what, let's do. We spent a lot of time yesterday talking about the coronavirus. Today what I'd like to do is talk more about baseball. And let's talk about some big players. Yeah, you ready? And first of all, let me give kudos to Lenny. Great send-off. Great way to start the day. We got a big day today here on the network. Not only have I got this show now, but then we've got Phil Chaplin coming on tonight. I'm coming on with Chappie after that. So it's a big fantasy night here on the network. Make sure you don't miss any of it. You're going to be informed and you're going to be entertained. That's for sure. So hang with us tonight. Chappie comes on at 7. We're back on at 9. And we'll be talking games that are going on and other things as well. You don't want to miss it. I guarantee you it's the best around and doesn't cost you a dime to tune in and watch. How about that? Cheaper than DirecTV any day of the week. So here we go. Let's talk about an ace. We talked about pitchers yesterday. We're going to talk a little bit about Corey Kluber, and then I'm going to move on to some better news, okay? Corey Kluber, strain 2 grade in that right shoulder. He's out at least 4 weeks, not projected to be in the starting rotation the rest of the season, and it looks like his year probably is over. I did not get a report on Verlander yesterday. Strasburg threw a bullpen, but I want to talk about Los Angeles Dodger ace Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw threw a 15-pitch bullpen yesterday. And we'll throw another one, on Sunday. We'll throw another one today. And according to Dave Roberts, he's feeling a lot better. You know, he injured his back lifting weights. And no news broke on that until just before opening day start against the Giants last Thursday. Now, we know he's had these back problems, but it looks like the weightlifting issue, although it could be connected, is a different kind of injury. You know, even though he's had recent injuries, and even though last year he suffered through with some back issues, even with that, Kershaw last year was 16-5. 16-5. With a 3.03 ERA in 28 starts. You know, the thing is, those aren't really what we consider to be Kershawian numbers. But they're still really good. And they're better numbers than you're going to get from Verlander. They're better numbers than you're going to get from Kluber. Barring some Tampa Bay pitching against Atlanta, 19 strikeouts yesterday. Wow. I mean, Glasnow started it and everybody else finished it. But barring some major catastrophe, Kershaw's still going to put up pretty good numbers. Now, this Wednesday, Dustin May scheduled to start again in his spot against the Astros. Not necessarily a great landing spot for Dustin May in his second start in the major leagues. But that's who's going to draw the start on Wednesday. And we'll look for reports on Kershaw after today's bullpen session. Now, Kershaw is a great fantasy pitcher in Kevin's own line, and I totally agree, because regular season, Kershaw is usually gold. It's just a matter of getting to the playoffs where he's had trouble and he's scuffled. But in a regular season situation, there's not a lot of difference in any other ace. Kershaw has been at least as good as any of the other aces during the regular season. So look for him to come back. We'll see how that goes. Somebody must be talking about me. My nose is itching. How about that? You get to see me scratching my nose on Facebook. Let's talk about the Astros. Houston relief pitcher Ryan Presley, elbow. Chris Devenski, elbow. That's what's wrong with Verlander, elbow. Both are dealing with soreness in their elbows and are day-to-day. Austin Pruitt, also suffering from an elbow injury, has been shut down with elbow inflammation. I'm using the word elbow a lot, huh? Roberto Osuna did get a save and now is back in the closer role in Houston. But this bullpen is really in shambles. Osuna was a late arrival to camp, made his debut Saturday against Seattle, giving up 1 hit in a scoreless inning. Presley next man up, but now he's got an injured elbow. Devenski, injured elbow. We know they lost players in the offseason. So now you've got Cy Sneed and Brian Abreu to be trusted in high-leverage situations as the bridge to Osuna. How many of you guys have ever heard of Cy Sneed pitching for the Astros until now? So there's your bridge. Big difference in Devenski, Presley, last year Harris, Smith. And now they got to face the Dodgers in a set. Houston struggled with Seattle. They really did. And Kyle Lewis ate them up. And I just can hardly imagine how the Dodger bats will fare against this bullpen. The rotation is hurting. The bullpen is hurting. It could be a year where Houston does not make the playoffs. Boy, that'd be a shame, wouldn't it? Bring out the trash cans. Washington Nationals starting pitcher, speaking of pitchers, Steven Strasburg, I just mentioned a moment ago, threw, quote, very lightly, end of quote, on Monday, according to manager Davey Martinez. Strasburg is feeling less of a tingle in his thumb after being scratched from his first start on Saturday. But the Nationals, they've not yet determined when Strasburg's going to hit the mound. Now, how many of you guys had high expectations for Strauss? I really did and still do. He came off all those innings last year, but then he had the downtime where he didn't have to throw. Now he's got, Washington, look, after watching Atlanta, the Mets look like the best team in the East to me right now. The Nats look to me like they could be second. And the Marlins, it's a shame what happened to their team, but the Marlins look pretty good against the Phillies over the weekend. That East is really going to be a dogfight. I don't think Atlanta is as bad as Atlanta has looked. I think Washington will timely hit and they'll pitch. But to me, the Mets are just the cream of the crop. Now, the Mets, every team has an Achilles heel, and so far the Mets' Achilles heel has been that bullpen. Now, we'll see how that goes. But getting back to Strasburg, the 32-year-old, he's considered day-to-day. Eric Fetty did replace him last Saturday, and so we'll see how Fetty does in his next start. Speaking of, let's stay with the Nats. Washington Nationals outfielder Juan Soto has received now 1 negative test after being put on the injured list last Thursday. Now, as you know, I said it yesterday, even if you're put on the 10-day IL, there's no minimum stay or maximum stay on the IL if you have a second negative COVID test. So if he were to test negative in the next 24 hours, then Juan Soto could return to his team and be activated and be back in that lineup. And what a difference that's going to make. You're talking about a most valuable player candidate in Juan Soto. No joke. I think he can be MVP. And can you imagine this Washington Nationals team if Juan Soto comes back and plays like Juan Soto? So Martinez says, Davey Martinez, the manager, says that Juan Soto's feeling good and trying to stay in shape for a quick return. Michael A. Taylor has received the starts in lieu of Soto and was in the outfield again Monday against the Blue Jays. How about that Blue Jay game? Teoscar Hernandez all of a sudden gets in the starting lineup, and what does he do? He hits 2 home runs in the leadoff spot. Bo Bichette with the sore hammy, day-to-day, probably back today, precautionary. The Nationals, staying with them, signed second baseman Josh Harrison. Remember the former Pittsburgh Pirate great Josh Harrison? He signed to a 1-year deal. They option catcher Roddy Reed to the alternate training side in order to bring up the former Pittsburgh Pirate All-Star. He was an All-Star in 2014, 6 years ago. He played in just 36 games for Detroit last year. He's a veteran utility guy, and if you have any options left in your fantasy pickups, some of us like to use our pickups really quick, right? But if you have any available still, you might want to consider picking him up. And, the thing about Harrison, he's got a little pop. He's got some speed, steal you a few bases, and he plays all over the place. Let's talk about the Cubs for a moment, shall we? How many of you are interested in talking about the Cubs? Well, I am, so we will. Okay, because if I'm not interested, we don't talk about it. But here we go. Craig Kimbrell, he of the Goldilocks look. Did you check out his flow yesterday? Wow. He struggled against the Redlegs, rather. Cincinnati hit him pretty good. He only recorded 1 out and walked 4 Reds and also hit a batter while allowing 2 runs. Not quite as bad as Shohei Ohtani on Sunday, but close. Really close. Kimbrell, coming off his worst season ever last year. I mean, he never pitched